Yoga by Claire's Everyday Yoga series. Yoga for a healthy gut. Hi everyone, and welcome to my occasional series of Everyday Yoga. Today we're going to be talking about constipation and bowel health. Did you know that at any one time, 1 in 7 adults in the UK are affected by constipation? And women are twice as likely to be affected as men. Whether we're male or female, we're more likely to be constipated as we get older. And there are lots of things we can do to help ourselves. You will have no doubt read or heard about the importance of fiber in your diet and the importance of drinking plenty. And as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I'd advise that water, that tea, that fluid is warm and comforting as well. But also, one of the things that's really important to keeping our bowel and our gut healthy is movement. And gentle, twisting, compressing movements, such as those we practice in yoga, can be really helpful to maintain gut health. So whether you're constipated or not, or ideally before you get that far, why not practice a few gentle stretches every day to keep your gut healthy and moving? You don't need to be an experienced yoga practitioner or even to want to practice yoga. You don't need a yoga mat, but you can do these stretches at home and they'll take just a few moments. So that said, let's get going. So we're going to start with a gentle seated twisting movement or shape. So let's take one leg out straight in front of us and bring the other knee up close into our chest. Whichever knee you've brought up, take the opposite arm and wrap it around your knee and take the other arm behind you, and we'll find a gentle twist to one side. If you're pregnant or this causes you any discomfort, you can take the other way, so bringing the same arm as knee, and take the twist into a more open version of the twist. And we'll just hold in whichever shape is comfortable to you, 2 or 3 breaths. And then we'll swap legs. So bringing your other knee up, and again, perhaps you take the opposite arm to wrap around, find the twist to the opposite side. I like to take my head towards the back shoulder to its furthest point and then release just a little, and that gives me a comfortable stretch in my neck. And then gently releasing that stretch, maybe bringing your knees up, taking a little gentle movement, little windscreen wiper, moving your knees from side to side, and taking those little rotations through your lower abdomen as well. When you've had enough of that, you can bring your legs back to your comfortable seat. You don't need to be cross-legged. You could keep your legs straight if you prefer. You could kneel. But we're going to take some Sufi twists. And these are twists working from your diaphragm, from your abdomen. And the idea in some forms of yoga is that it shifts the energy from the base of your spine up through your body to the crown of your head. But it also has the added benefit of really stimulating your abdomen and sort of compressing and opening all the parts of your abdomen. So let's find our hands, or I like to have my hands on my knees. And then take a gentle movement out to one side, take that to the back, over to the other side, and then to the front. And then keep that going in any kind of circle that feels nice. So you may want to round your shoulders and lengthen through your front body as you twist, but it doesn't really matter how you move, so long as you move. I like to imagine that I'm stirring a pot, and that my body energy, that my abdomen is the pot that I'm trying to hydrate. And then when you've had enough going in one direction, remember to change and find your way into the opposite circuit. I really like this movement, so I could carry on doing this for a long time. But let's draw that to a halt now and just find a couple of moments to breathe, just to notice how we feel having done those movements. And then I'm going to bring us into a kneeling shape. So coming onto your hands and knees, really not worrying too much about where your hands are in relation to your shoulders. It can feel nice to have your arms straight underneath. I prefer to have my hands a little further forward. But pressing your weight evenly into the pads of your fingers, the knuckles of your fingers. And then we're going to take a yoga flow called cat-cow, and it's one of my favorite yoga flows. So let's start by finding a neutral spine. Maybe we gaze towards the floor or our mat, and then dropping our belly. And as we do so, we're tilting our pelvis up and looking up towards the sky. So we're really lengthening through our front body. And then, starting by moving from our pelvis, we start to round through our back and really push away from our hands so that we're coming into a cat shape. Maybe we look between our arms and see if we can look at our tummy. And then we start to move between those two shapes. So tilting the pelvis, lengthening the front body, looking up, and then rounding through the spine in a bit of a wave-like motion from the pelvis, pushing away from the hands, and keeping that movement going. And if you like, you can stay in this classic cat-cow shape. But if you prefer, maybe you start to take some generous circles with your hips, with your front body, your shoulders. It really doesn't matter, just move. Because moving in this way really helps us to understand our bodies, but really to loosen everything. If you are circling, remember to go in the opposite direction. And then gradually find a little rest. Maybe it feels nice to sink back onto your heels, like to come into a little child's pose. But again, if you bring your knees close together, perhaps you feel a little compression into your tummy as your tummy rests on the top of your thighs. If child isn't particularly comfortable for you, and it isn't for everybody, then you can take that similar shape coming onto your sit bones, bringing your knees up and hugging yourself close in. So again, you feel that compression of tummy against your thighs. And I have just two more shapes to offer you before we take a little breath work, a little pranayama to help. So for these shapes, we're going to come onto our back. So just finding your way onto your back, however that feels nice to you. And the first shape I'm going to show you is Apanasana. So for this shape, we hug our knees into our chest and wrap our arms around our knees and gently draw our knees closer to our body. So it's as if we're giving ourselves a really big hug. Apanasana is loosely translated as wind relieving pose, so you'll understand why I might consider it quite good for your gut. Sometimes it can feel nice to take a little rock from side to side and sort of massage into the lower back, because sometimes when things are a little bit stuck, it can make us feel a little tight and tense generally. And maybe you choose to take one leg down the mat and then draw that one up and take the other leg down the mat. Let's take a little gentle movement, swapping your legs one side to the other. because movement is really good for our gut health. Really encourages that peristaltic wave through our bowel, which really helps us to stay regular. So our final shape, let's drop our feet to the floor. We're going to come into a lying twist. So for this shape, all I like to do is I'm going to shift my hips ever so slightly over towards the right, draw my knees into my chest a bit like Apanasana, but this time allow my knees to come over to the side. So it doesn't matter whether you reach the floor or you pop a cushion under your knees, but finding that twisted shape. Maybe you bring your hand to your top leg, or just hold here for a few breaths. Before releasing on that side, let's draw our knees into our chest. We can pop our feet to the floor, maybe bring our hips back to center and just notice. Before scutching our hips, this time over to the left, to the other side, drawing our knees back in and taking that twist to the opposite side. Again, you can place a hand on the outer thigh. You can take the opposite arm out to shoulder height. And I'm looking down my arm so I can talk to you, but generally when I'm practicing this at home, I'll have my head in quite a neutral sort of position. Releasing your legs, maybe bringing everything back to center, placing your feet on the floor, bringing your hips back to neutral. And again, just taking a moment, allowing our body to receive that part of our practice. And then I'm going to show you one breath that can really sort of help with gut motility and movement, but actually is also deeply relaxing, because sometimes when we feel stressed, that can be one of the factors that tips us over into constipation or the reverse. So let's start by taking our legs long down the mat, if that feels comfortable. If not, you can leave them up, but I like to create lots of space in my front body. And let's place our hands just below our diaphragm. So we're lightly resting our hands on our belly. We're not pushing in. And the idea of this breath is to breathe deeply into our hands. So we're sending our breath all the way to our diaphragm and giving our diaphragm maximum opportunity to push down towards our feet. So let's take a deep breath in through our nose to prepare, and then out. And this time, as you breathe in, really focus on your hands. Breathe all the way to your hands. Maybe feel your abdomen inflate. And then as you breathe out, let everything release. So continuing to breathe into your hands. And then out, letting everything release. And perhaps we start to create a steady rhythm of breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And continuing to breathe in that way as long as you like, knowing that not only does that breath stimulate movement in your abdomen, but also it acts as a calming breath, a coherent breath pattern, breathing rhythmically, allowing our parasympathetic nervous system to settle, relax. Let's take 2 more. Breathing in, breathing out. Last time, breathing in, breathing out. And then gently letting go of that breath. Perhaps we bring our hands to the earth. Let our breath return to its natural rhythm. I know you can stay here as long as you like to release your practice. Otherwise, in your own time, coming onto your side and finding your way back to your seated position. Thank you for sharing practice with me, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Thank you for sharing practice with me. If you'd like to join one of my regular yoga classes or talk to me more about how Ayurveda can improve your gut health, please contact me at info@yogabyclaire.co.uk. Wishing you a happy, healthy gut. Much love, Claire.